Who will remember us when we die?
What's up, guys? Today we're going to be doing 20 questions with yours truly, Tyrant. So if there's anything that you really want to know about me and my past, now's the time. Check it out. Well, how I first got started in competitive Smash was thanks to my brother, actually. We've always been playing games since we were younger, you know, from Capcom versus SNK to Street Fighter 2. And we played a lot of games together, and there was this old gaming store. It's called Gameplay. It's on Venice. It's in Los Angeles. And we used to go there so often and play Melee and a bunch of other Smash games, and even a lot of import Japanese games, to the point where the owner was just so cool with us. We found out that Super Smash Bros. Brawl was coming out, and it came out in Japanese in 2008 in February. So on the release in March, we hosted our first event there. I helped my brother host it, and I ended up getting second place to a player named DSF, who ended up being the top player in Southern California at the time. And ever since then, it was just, we just kept rolling out more events and more events until I just got fully integrated in the scene. Well, the story about my tag is a pretty silly story. When I was young and my mom would take care of just me and my brother, it was just us three for majority of our lives. And I was not an obedient kid at all. I was always causing trouble. I was always just cutting up and making life very difficult for my mom. And she used to call me a little tyrant because I would just never be listening. I'd always be trying to, run the house, trying to make all my own rules. And it just kind of trickled over to when I started playing Smash. Yeah, another random funny story with this as well. I was at Sky's house. I've been living with him for the past 5 or 6 years now. Korean was there as well. Big shout outs to Korean, thank you so much. And he was talking to K9 about a potential TO position that he wasn't able to fill, so he's offering it to K9. And I kind of overheard that conversation, and I was like, so K9, pretty sure you don't want to host by yourself, TO always needs a little bit of help. And we were living together at the time as well, so we just ended up working together and just making the dream come true. My first experience with traveling for Super Smash Bros. Was in 2009. I ended up traveling to this tournament in Texas. It's called Wobo 1. Shouts out to Zyro. He was the host of that event. He was a long time host in Texas for a while. And it was the first time I got to actually experience, all of the best players in the United States kind of just gathered together in one area, and I got to truly test my skill outside of my region. What do I think it takes to become a professional Smash player? Now, I feel like there's many layers to this question, but there's one undeniable fact about becoming a professional Smash player, and that's just the dedication. The amount of time you need to be spending in learning matchups, learning player styles, watching VODs, analyzing your own style, making sure you're practicing against the right level of opponents at times. You don't want to play someone that's a little bit too good to play against because you might not learn as much as you can. You don't want to play someone that's not as good as you that might make it hard to learn and also might build bad habits for yourself. I feel like once you can analyze all these things, it kind of abandons a piece of your ego that makes you feel like you might be doing the right thing when there's always something to learn past that. It can help you get to that point of being very open-minded and seeking the help that you need to seek in order to become the player that you want to be. Usually the way to get to that point, but in this day and age of esports, especially in 2020 right now, it's a culmination of being a really good player, high level or top level player, making content on YouTube, streaming on Twitch, going out to these big events and talking to people and communicating and networking and making sure that you hit every avenue possible so you can live more than just by your player name and your tag, but you can be more of a personality that people can attach themselves to. So my current favorite Ultimate players as of now are, number one, it's definitely going to be MK Leo, extremely biased to his Joker and pretty much any character he picks up. He's just a methodical god at the game. He's been playing so long. I think he was ranked in Melee since he was 11 years old. This guy lives and breathes Smash, and you can just clearly tell by the way he plays, by the way he adapts to his opponents, and how creative he is with his setups and with every character he plays. A second favorite would be Tweak. I'm definitely a little biased because he's a good friend of mine in the Smash scene, and he's just always been someone that's just so determined to just be great. like his results and the way that he plays in tournament, regardless of the odds around him, regardless of the crowd, regardless of how many people don't always want him to do well, he's always doing the best he can for himself. And you could just tell by the way he just, oh my God, he destroys people like constantly every tournament I see him go to. And my third favorite, well, it's pretty funny, but another close friend of mine, Mr. R. I've been playing with him, and we've been practicing together. We lived together for years, and he's just someone that I hate playing, of course, because he's just always beating me. But at the same time, I have nothing but respect for him, for the work he puts in, for the characters he chooses to pick up, and just how innovative he can be, and how far he pushes himself in whatever character he's playing to the limits. I'm always proud to see him play, and I'm always proud to see how well he does. My favorite streamer or content creator would very likely be Caleb City. He's a big YouTuber. He does a lot of comedy stuff, and just all of his skits that he does, it's pretty much just him, like being every character in all of his skits. But he's just one of the funniest people I've watched on YouTube. I follow his channel like religiously, practically. So shout outs to Caleb. Hope to meet you one day and definitely maybe make some content with you one day, because you're freaking hilarious. So big fan. Ooh, 5 favorite games of all time. Well, I'm just gonna count Super Smash Brothers as like one game, just the entire series. That's my #1 free. Like that series is just amazing. It's pretty much been the game I've been playing most of my life as well. My #2 would probably be Jump Ultimate Stars. It was a 3D, or I think it was a 3DS game, yeah, back in the day. Probably came out around 13 or 14 years ago, but played it religiously in high school with all my friends. It's like a Shonen Jump anime fighter. It has all these anime characters in the same game together. Super amazing game. The multiplayer is amazing. My third favorite game would, this one's gonna be definitely biased, but it's gonna be Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories. I was really big in competing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day, and it's this PlayStation 1 game. And it was one of the hardest games I've ever played through to beat, and it's just totally unfair. They just give you a bunch of terrible cards in the beginning, and then they expect you to just beat the whole game without, of course, if you're not cheating or looking up, like, whatever to beat the game easier. Playing it raw, one of the most difficult games I've definitely played through. My fourth favorite game, ooh, this gets a little difficult, but definitely Pokemon for the Game Boy, old school red and blue version. Pretty old school with that, but it was just one of the most like riveting games I first played as a kid. Like I'll never forget just like having a Game Boy Color and just playing red version in the beginning, getting my Charmander, learning every single Pokemon in the Pokédex from 1 through 150 at the time, or 151 counting Mew. But yeah, no, amazing experience, and I'll just never forget it. And my fifth favorite game is Zelda Ocarina of Time. That game, just the map, just the way that everything was laid out, as a kid, it's just another game. Like a lot of games from my childhood, they're just still always going to be my favorite because of how they made me feel compared to many other games in the future, like including now in the present. It's like, it's hard to just feel the same way that I felt when I was first playing games that are kind of being evolved into the games that are today, they didn't have as good of graphics maybe, but the storylines, just the way that it encaptured just the way that games are made now. I'm just always gonna be a big fan, and those are just my 5 favorite games. Have I ever met a lover or a love interest at a gaming event? Very funny story, but my current girlfriend now, her name is Ruki. I love you, Ruki. I met her at MLG Ohio in 2010. And at first we were friends, things kind of went a little quick. We kind of dated in the beginning. It didn't work out, but then, we always found each other again and again, throughout these years. And, 10 years later, we're still together. The toughest moment in my Smash career definitely had to be at MLG Dallas in 2010 in November. It was this big circuit event. It was 5 events that led up to the finals in Dallas, Texas. And I had to play through ESAM, Ally, X, Mike Hayes, just a bunch of top players from back in the day. And at that time we were all so like close leveled that all these sets were like, they came down to the wire. Like I timed out Ally 2 games in a row. Like, there's nothing but just to the wire matches, super clutch comebacks nonstop. And it was one of the biggest pot tournaments that I've ever been to, and also the most money I've ever made from an event. The biggest piece of advice I can give a lower level player trying to become a higher or top level player would definitely be to definitely watch as many VODs and as many videos of characters and players that you look up to as possible, because there's so many mix-ups, there's so many conversions, there's so many ways to play the character that you can help incorporate with your play style. So even if you're not as successful and as good as some of these players are at what they're doing, you'll have a better palette of what you can do with your character, better setups, and even if you're failing, you'll always have a good idea of what to work on. Okay, the most valuable life lesson the Smash community has taught me for being a part of it for a decade would definitely be to just go out there, talk to people, make friends, and cherish these memories. Because even if we're just playing a game, it's more than that at this point. The Smash community is something that's just been literally growing since the day it started in maybe 2002, 2003. I don't even know the day it started. But it's more than just playing and attending tournaments and just trying to get good results now. It's definitely a family. There's definitely many people who could be your friends for the next multiple decades, But I definitely think it's worth cherishing all these moments and experiences with people that live and breathe the same dream that you do. What superpower would I have if I was randomly gifted one? Man, that's hard. It's it's either mind control or teleportation. I'm thinking more mind control though, just because, when I'm competing, I don't want to have to always work to outplay someone. If I could just look at them and then see what options they're thinking in their head, hey, instant number one, And it helps with many more things as well, but I'm thinking mind control. My biggest rival as a competitor through my Smash history, for the majority of the time would have to be Larry Lurr. He was definitely, someone in the Brawl days that I always found myself playing in winners finals, grand finals in SoCal. And he's definitely someone that, even though I, for a lot of time, I definitely hated as a competitor, he's always been someone to help push me and always try harder every single time, because he was always leveling up as well. My favorite anime or TV show, I'll just say my favorite anime is definitely Berserk. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, we repping guts all day, every day, you know what I'm saying? Ooh, my biggest influences as a Smash competitor, there's just so many players. Some of the first ones are, Mewtwo King and Zero. At the time they were living with me when I lived in Santa Monica with Sky. And, these guys are always grinding. They're so difficult to play against, especially in friendlies. Zero is just, in Smash 4, one of the best players I've ever played in my whole life. And on top of that, playing with my old Brawl friends like Terror Bear, Havoc, Mike Hayes, the old Brawl squad, DSF, all these guys, they just inspired me so much by also being really good friends and being good training partners to help keep pushing me further and further into my dreams. And truly appreciate all of them. My least favorite character easily is Bowser Jr. I hate this character so much because it's even if I learn the matchup, there's just so many tilting things about the character that I just can't get over it. I just can't let it go. I hate how the character kills me. I hate the little cart that Bowser Jr. rides in, the super armor on the bottom of the cart. It's dude, come on, let's just push the character to the side, put Waluigi in instead, and let's make everyone happy. If I had to change my tag, what would I change it to? Damn. Probably change it to my last name, Legacy. It's not spelled normally like Legacy, just kind of pronounced that way, but I just would become Legacy. Some final words of wisdom I'd like to share as a Smash player, TO, and just overall competitor in the Smash community is definitely just keep in mind all the people around you and just never forget these memories that you're making. Because even though you might go to a local or you might go to a regional or a national, you might not always have the best time in the world, but this is just the greatest age of gaming that we're gonna ever live in right now and even in the future going on. And definitely try to make something if it's really your dream, it's really your passion. Don't feel like you need to appease anyone. Don't feel like you need to do something like someone else. If you feel like you have a goal, try your best to work as hard as you can on it and work with other people around you. Try to shed that light on yourself and be more visible to others that your dreams are in alignment with. There's more help out there than you think you can get. You just gotta put your first foot down and just keep on going. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Looks like we made it to the end, guys. Thanks for watching 20 Questions with me. Next week, we're gonna be doing 20 questions with K9 S. Bruce. So if there's any questions you wanna specifically ask him or any content in the future that you're interested in us making, make sure to put it in the comments below on this video. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And remember, keep your head up and stay strong.